Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Class 8th. In the last lecture I had taken up the decomposition reaction and the displacement reaction. Let's quickly revise and then move on to the reactivity series. What is decomposition? So a decomposition reaction, I had told you that is a reaction in which a single compound breaks down into two or more simpler products. Then this is generally with the help of either heat, light or electricity, and it is divided into three types, that is thermal decomposition, photo decomposition and electrolytic decomposition. So very simple example was the heating of limestone and changing it into quicklime, that is CaO, and carbon dioxide is produced. I had shown you how potassium chlorate is decomposed to give you oxygen, and potassium chloride is formed. Then the displacement reaction is the reaction. Now this reaction which an element displaces another element in a compound to produce a new compound and the displaced element. So it is generally represented by this particular equation, that is A plus BC gives you AC plus B, and the example of zinc and copper sulfate is given, and how the zinc takes the place of copper because it's more active than, or it is more reactive than copper, and forms the corresponding salt of zinc, and copper is released. Is it clear? So this is all we had done in the last lecture. Then let's proceed on to the reactivity series. Before starting the reactivity of series of metal, let's understand the term reactivity. What do you mean by reactivity? It is the impetus or the ease by which a particular element or a compound reacts with another compound or element and forms the corresponding product. So reactivity is the impetus. Impetus, I have told you, ease by which a particular compound element react in order to form a product. So this is the impetus for which a chemical substance undergoes a chemical reaction, either by itself or with other materials, with an overall release of energy. This is the term reactivity. So what is the reactivity series of metals? So you can see this is the reactivity series of metals, and it is the arrangement of metals in a series in descending order of their reactivity. You can see this arrow going downwards. This is the descending arrow, descending order of the reactivity, and this is called the metal reactivity series. All these are metals except the red one, that is hydrogen. Is that clear? This is the reactivity series of metals. Hydrogen is also included in this particular series. So as you move from potassium is the most reactive. As you move downwards from potassium till gold, or the last metal is platinum. Platinum is not shown here in your books, it is there after gold. So you can see over here as in the book, after the gold, that is AU, we have platinum over here. So platinum is the least reactive and potassium is the most reactive. So it helps to know which element will react the most and which will be the least reactive. Next, hydrogen is not a metal, but it is included in the reactivity series. Why is it so? Because it is electropositive in nature. If something is you have learnt about metals and non-metals, and metals are electropositive, they can easily lose electrons, and hydrogen is also an electropositive element, and it can easily lose electron and form a positive ion. Is that clear? A positive ion. That is why it is placed in the reactivity of series and reactivity series of metals. And generally the metals that are above hydrogen in the series displace hydrogen from water, acids and alkalis, and those below hydrogen cannot displace it. You can see in this series that hydrogen is placed over here, and so all the elements which are above hydrogen in the reactivity series can easily displace hydrogen from water, from acids or alkalis. For instance, if suppose zinc and water are there, so zinc, you can see it is over here above hydrogen in the activity series, so it will displace, it will come over here in place of hydrogen and it will form zinc oxide and hydrogen gas will be released. Is it clear? So this is what is the position of hydrogen in the activity series, and this series helps to do the comparative study of metals in terms of their reactivities. Is it clear? So this is the reactivity series of metals in which potassium is the most reactive and platinum is the least. So more reactive metal like zinc, iron, magnesium, aluminium, all these metals can displace the metals below them in the reactivity series from their compounds. Is that clear? For example, zinc, iron and magnesium are more reactive than copper. You can see the position of copper and you can also see the position of zinc, iron and lead. Is that clear? So when for example we can take this reaction, that is copper sulfate plus zinc gives you, now this is more reactive, this will displace copper, so this will become CuSO4 plus zinc, ZnSO4 plus copper. So this is the reaction. You can even see this in the form of experiment over here. This experiment I had told yesterday also. You can see this zinc strip immersed in copper sulfate solution, how this copper gets deposited on the zinc and this solution becomes colorless, that is it becomes zinc sulfate. Is that clear? The solution changes from blue to colorless, that is copper sulfate has changed into zinc sulfate, and here the strip of zinc was there and here it has got deposited with copper. Is that clear? So this is how this series is helpful. We can predict the reactivity of different metals by using this series. Is it clear? And similarly, for you can see here magnesium ribbon dipped in copper sulfate, this is blue, this has changed from blue to colorless over here, that is it is changed into magnesium sulfate, and here copper has got deposited on magnesium. Is it clear? So this is what is there. This helps in predicting the reactivity of metals. Apart from this, I had also explained this experiment to you where we have to show activity 6 on page number 68, that is to show that a more reactive metal can displace a less reactive metal when we had discussed about the single displacement reaction. So things which are needed are 2 test tubes. So you can see over here 2 test tubes over here, or you can say any conical flask can be taken of any size, a piece of copper wire, then 10 ml of dilute copper sulfate solution and iron sulfate solution. So this is where you had done iron and copper sulfate solution, how it is done. You can see this is green in color and this is blue in color. So what do we take? We generally take a 10 ml 10 ml copper sulfate solution in a test tube or in this flask. This is blue in color, and an iron nail is kept in the solution. We stir it. Then what do we see? That after some time, iron sulfate solution test tube, and place a copper wire in it, shake the test tube and leave it for some time. So these are the 2 types of test tubes we have taken, that is in which one iron nail is kept in copper sulfate solution and other iron sulfate solution is taken, which is green color, and which a copper wire is taken. It is shaken. Then in the first case, the iron nail that is inside the copper sulfate solution becomes reddish brown, which you can see over here. Is that clear? It changes to light green. This is because a layer of copper gets deposited over the surface of the iron nail. The green color is due to the formation of iron sulfate, which you can clearly see in this reaction. But in the second case, there will be no change. Why? Because if it is, instead of this, we have over here copper plus iron sulfate, this will give you iron plus copper sulfate. So now what is happening is there will be no displacement, the reaction will not take place. So the solution will remain green only, and there will be no change in the Y also. Is that clear? So in the reactivity series, iron lies above copper, that is, iron is more reactive than copper, that is why it is able to displace it. Is that clear? And copper does not displace iron from iron sulfate solution, it remains as such because it is less reactive than iron. So this proves that a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its compound, and the chemical reaction involved I have just shown you that this is the reaction which is possible. Other reaction, that is copper plus iron sulfate, there will be no reaction, no change in the solution nor the change in the copper wire. So this concludes that a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its compound. Is it clear? Then the next activity 7 aim to show that copper displaces silver from silver nitrate solution. So I have just told you that silver lies below copper in the reactivity series. So what do you need? A beaker, a copper strip and silver nitrate solution. This is the copper strip that you can see. This is the silver nitrate solution, which is colorless. Now you observe that colorless solution of silver nitrate turns blue, and in the colorless in the beaker you can see the color change. Is that clear? That is why, because the copper has been displaced, silver from silver nitrate solution, and copper nitrate solution is formed, which is blue in color, and silver, you can see this as silvery material gets deposited on the copper wire. Is that clear? So this is also the experiment that proves that copper is more reactive than silver. So copper displaces silver from silver nitrate solution. So both these experiments prove, both these activities prove that a more active or more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its compound. Is it clear? Then next type of reaction is the double displacement reaction. What is a double displacement reaction? It is a chemical reaction in which two compounds in the aqueous form or aqueous solution exchange their ions to form new compounds. So you can see over here that these are two compounds. So I have told you when each and every compound consists of an acid radical and a basic radical. So what do? They tend to interchange, they tend to exchange. A exchanges with D and B exchanges with C. So this is what is formed, AD and CB. Example of such type of reaction is given, AgNO3 plus HCl. So Ag exchanges its radical with Cl and HNO3. Is it clear? So this is the double displacement reaction. So there are two types of reaction in this, that is, one is precipitation reaction and other is neutralization reaction. So what is a precipitate? I have just told you, or in fact not just told you, in my last lectures I had explained this and I had shown this to you, that when there are two compounds in the aqueous solution, you can see they are in the aqueous liquid form, that dissolve in water, is that clear, or dissolved in a particular liquid. They react together to form an insoluble salt. You can see this yellow salt, and these two which were colorless, they reacted, they form an insoluble salt, and this insoluble salt is known as the precipitate. So this is an example of a precipitation reaction, and this is represented by, how do you show a precipitate? it is shown by a downward arrow. Is it clear? So other examples of this precipitation reaction are, so these are some of the examples, that sodium carbonate and copper sulfate react together to form sodium sulfate and a precipitate of copper carbonate. And similar reaction are between silver nitrate and HCl, forming silver chloride and nitric acid. Silver chloride is the precipitate. Again with BaCl2 and NaI, BaI2 and NaCl reacting together to form the precipitate. So these are some of the examples. We have the next type of double displacement reaction, that is neutralization reaction, and this is a chemical reaction which a base reacts with an acid to produce salt and water. Is that clear? So the products will always include water and an ionic salts, and so this reaction will always be that an acid react with a base to give you salt and water. For example, that hydrochloric acid and NaOH. Now hydrochloric acid is, by the name itself you must have understood, it is an acid, and this is a base containing a hydroxide ion. This will form a salt, NaCl plus water. Is that clear? So this is an example of neutralization reaction. Similarly, we have reactions with sulfuric acid and QH giving you potassium sulfate and water. Then more examples are of nitric acid and zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is also a base and it forms zinc nitrate and water. Similarly, the reaction between nitric acid and copper oxide forming copper nitrate and water. So all of these reactions you can see that the products are always salt and water. Now activity 9 is to study a neutralization reaction.